Afternoon guys, Neil from Magpie Brewing here today, and today in my never-ending quest to save money by home brewing, which I think a lot of us can relate to, I am going to unbox my latest money saving purchases. It was a purchase made from Keg King, Australia. Consists of a 60 litre snub nose fermenter king. It was bought as a package, so it comes with a few extras. There's a coat there, there's a heating belt, temperature controller, and I think there's something else there, but we'll have a look. So this never-ending quest to save money by home brewing, it's going fairly successful. And of course what brought this purchase on was, for those of you who watch me unbox, I purchased a 70 litre Guten from Keg King, Australia just a few months ago, because I thought I wanted to brew more beer, which I'm doing. The reason for the purchase of the 60 litre snub nose was purely and simply I've been splitting my brew out of the Guten 70 litre into two fermenters, and it's been okay too, because a couple of times I've used a different yeast, and it's just amazing what a different yeast will do to the same wort, really. So it's good for that. But if you want to do the one type of beer and have the one flavour in two kegs and a dribble left over to put in some bottles, or a mini keg, it's fiddly. You've got to cold crash two fermenters, you've got to get two fermenters into kegs, you've got to, you got to muck around a little bit. I just think with the 60 litre, and it will fit in my little fermenting fridge that I've got, it saves a lot of that mucking around. I'm going to be able to pump straight out of the Guten 70 litre into the vessel. I'm going to be able to do a big starter, especially when I use the liquid juice, which I've been using in quite a few beers now. Put it all in the one fermenter, ferment it, and just get it out and keg it all from the one fermenter, from the one place. So much easier and so much simple, hopefully. The biggest problem is when I pump out of the Guten 70 litre, this will already be in the fridge. So I've only got a 25 watt pump on my counterflow chiller. I'm pretty sure that'll pump it into the fermenter. It's not going to be a long distance. I'm going to have to move where I brew, and I'll be brewing about where I'm standing, I guess, not much further away. So with no further ado, let's get this big fella out of the box and have a look at him. I've already got a couple of the PET fermenters, and I do like them. I'm not so much a pressure fermenter, but I like them. They're handy. You can't knock them around a real lot, and I have busted one. So there's the body. There's the thermo well. The bag of goodies to put it together. And the stand. So there we go. So it's got built-in handles. And for me, I'll be sitting it this way because I know it'll fit in my fridge that way, and also I won't use the wheels unless I need to ferment it outside of the fridge, which, you know, I don't really have any intentions of doing, but it sits in there okay, and it lowers the profile a lot. As you can see, it's about eye height. If I actually tip it up and sit it in that way, we add quite a deal of height to it. So, and you can put the wheels in, which will put it up a bit bigger. So we won't be doing that. We'll be doing that. It is a bit loose in there, but I mean, with 60 litres of wort in there, it's not going to move around too much. I might put a bit of, seeing I normally put it this way, I might put a bit of padding here, but there's nothing sharp or dangerous there that's going to hurt it. So, while we're opening boxes, we'll just have a look at the extras now. I bought this as a kit. It was a pretty good deal, I thought. The fermenter at the time, I think for the Snub Nose 60, just by itself, pretty sure it was around 160, maybe a bit over 165. And for another $50 odd, I got the extras. And as I say, I'm not real sure whether I'll use them or not, but it most certainly doesn't hurt to have a coat and the coat's very thick. Not a lot of room here, is there? We might get rid of that box bit. So the coat's lined, very thick. So if you were to ferment outside of a fermenting fridge, I reckon, well, I use one on my Gen 3 Fermentosaurus, and it does a great job, and it's about as thick as that. Oh yeah, it'd be as thick as that, and I use that on like a glycol type chiller, and it's fine. Ferments down very low. It's just a bag of a few extras that I bought. It. So there's the heat belt you get. Got to be careful with heat belts on these PET fermenters. Me, I always, if I want to use a heat belt, I've got a heating pad, but I've got a temperature control for each heating pad. I put it around the frame of the unit. That's just me. Let's see what we've got here. So we've got a spunding valve. And it's the spunding valve with the pressure increments on it. So they're really easy to dial in. Now these aren't a diaphragm type valve, they're a poppet type valve. I like these over the diaphragm valves. I think they're more reliable and they're very easy to use. So we've got that. And then there was also a disconnect, but it's in that other bag that I bought of other stuff for myself. And then we have another temperature control with instructions. So yeah, if we want to use that, it's never too hard to have a spare, cooling and heating. It's always good to have a spare temp control lying around. And really what I thought when I looked at the package deal is I really thought the spare temperature control and the spunding valve were well worth the extra, and then when you get the coat and the other couple of little bits and pieces with it, you're getting, I think you're getting a good value deal. So we'll have a go at putting it together. So it comes with a sticker. The sticker's just got the safety messages about 35 psi, 2.4 bar. Advises not to leave them in the sun, you know, heat and plastic don't go together, PET don't go together. Liquid temperatures 55 degrees or above, and ambient temperatures above 35 degrees. And there's some other safety stuff there. It gives you information on how to test it after 2 years, do a pressure test. You can stick that on it if you like. I normally do, because if I don't put that on it, I'll forget. And I will write the date of purchase on there somewhere, so that if it does last 2 years, which I'm hoping it will, but if it does last 2 years, of course, there's a reminder. I'll just get the CO2 bottle out and pump it up, and hopefully it holds. So that will go on. Have the sticker for the liquid level. The stainless steel ball float valve. It's just a float, really. There's the leg, the wheels if you do want to use it in the more upright position. So the wheels are there. Couple of a liquid and a gas poppets. There's say you have a 35 psi pressure valve, and also with it, which was in this other packet of extra stuff, you've got a 10 psi pressure valve. And you have a 15, the purple one's a 15 psi pressure valve. And there's the disconnect that comes with it. So if you're a bit short of room, you can get if you get the stainless steel disconnect, the stainless steel disconnect is straight, whereas this one will get the spunding valve up at a slight angle, so it probably adds, don't know what it is in millimetres, probably adds 3/4 of an inch of height, maybe a little bit more. There's our silicone tubing for the float, and the pickup, our lid, and the first thing you notice, it is larger, but the opening is a lot larger than the 35 litre ones. I'm not sure, I think the new Apollo 30 litre ones have the wider neck too. A lot of people say that it's hard to get in and clean them. I don't know, I never really put my arm in the PET fermenters to clean them out, to be honest. I just get a bit of PBW or whatever cleaner I'm using at the time. I use the Atomic from Keg King a lot, and I just make the mixture up and I just swirl it round. And so I put the mixture in, put the lid on, and just swirl it around, tip it upside down, let it soak a little bit, and I've never had any trouble getting them clean. You get a hose in there, you can get a hose with a decent spray. You can use a sip system to get them in there and clean them. And you know, I did go and buy a cobweb broom from the big green shed, and I must admit it was alright too, the cobweb broom. Just get in there, and I put a microfiber towel around the plastic needles, if you want to call them that, and you just get that down in there, and they'll go down in the 35s also, and you just give it a rub around. So I mean, all the people that say that they want the big wide mouth ones and that to clean, I just don't think they use their imagination. And the PET fermenters are very easy to clean no matter what size the neck, in my opinion. And then we have a temperature sticker. Gives us an idea of course, the thermo well will tell us give us an idea what the inner temperature of the fermentation is, and with the sticker on the outside you can just check that you got about the same temperature on the outside. So yeah, it's probably I feel like it's a good package, this one, and it's going to make life a bit easier doing the double brews in the 70, and I'm looking forward to it. We might put some stuff together. All of this stuff, metal, plastic. You do not need a spanner. It's metal, thread on plastic. You do not need a spanner. If anything, just get a bit of lube, and you can put a bit of lube on the thread, and it'll chew it down. But I mean, if you get a spanner on these plastic fittings with these metal fittings in the poppets and that, you're going to strip that thread. And it's not like a metal thread, you can't rebuild it. It's a new lid or whatever. So always remember, plastic and metal, just don't go too heavy and hard. So with the poppets, everything's in the one bag there. It's quite, I might, we don't need to put a lid on. So just check with the poppet that the small washer, the small O-ring goes to the top. A lot of people put them in a bit upside down, and then all you do is you put the in there, just push it and just get it sideways. Everything's gonna stay there. And as I say, just make sure you get the thread started, and there you go, nice and firm. Do the other side. Of course, after you do all this, you're going to give it a pressure test anyway. So you're going to spray around, and I would be very surprised if anyone gets a leak from those areas. I never have. I noticed the lid also has, sometimes that one didn't go straight through, so it felt funny. So sometimes I'll just go in reverse. That feels good there now. And on she goes. So you come back on and you feel the top of the thread, and it goes on quite nicely. I noticed the lid has some areas where you can drill out. I would assume that's for the cooling coils. I've got cooling coils for the 35 litre, I don't know. They probably would be deep enough, you know. Or with this size lid, you could, I don't know, you might be able to get the ones for the Apollo in there. I'm not real sure. And so, just for today, I've sort of set the 35 in there, because I'm going to use a spunning valve. This also doubles up as a dry hop port, which I just take the lid off, but because I won't have room to to get in there with a funnel. So this, you will notice, now I did see a post, I think it was a Facebook or somewhere. One of the guys, when he put the pressure relief valve in, or the dry hot port in, there's a rubber O-ring right up tight, and it didn't go into the collar at the top. There is a bit of a collar there. So if you find that, just be wary of that, because when you get to that O-ring, it's very tight. And just keep going. And if you find it's not fitting properly, just go and get a bit of lube and put on it. Get it in there. And that's fine. That's in there. That's tight. Tighten up the pressure. And there we go. Lid done. Put the thermo well on. Thermo wells are awesome. Thermo well doesn't have to be on very tight at all, because I mean there's no pressure on it anyway. And then when I put these lids in, like if I'm going to pressure test, I lube that big O-ring there. She just goes in there, pop her in. Goes in nice and firm. Would have gone in a lot easier, of course, if I would have, and it will come in a lot easier too. If I would have put a bit of lube on it, but of course I'm going to pull it all apart after putting it together. For you guys, give it a clean. So there we go. So all we need to do now, and oh gee, I have trouble with these, honestly. It's a pity that Will and the boys couldn't get in and put the markings somehow on the outside, because there's nothing surer this ain't gonna go smooth. If it does, I'll have a beer. I'll probably have a beer anyway. I got a pretty good one up there. Gonna whack a video up shortly, actually, of my Patters beer. And it turned out a treat. But anyway, let's see if this turns out a treat. Don't look easy, does it? Alrighty, so there's a red line there. That red line goes to the neck, right in tight of the neck. There we go. Oh, look at that. Is it too early to celebrate or what? Knowing me, yes it is. Yeah, you see? Anyway, got this edge bit. It's a pain in the... There we go. Oh, didn't get it. There we go. Now I've got to go backwards, because it's got a leg as there we go. It's got to pull that other. Going all right. Maybe I flamed the boys and I shouldn't have. Doesn't hurt to flame them. I mean, give them a bit of a rev, and then they'll come up with something and some improvement. And there we go. Look at that. Not bad. Fairly straight. Pretty good. Pretty good. So alrighty, so the spunding valve, just so we can have a look at it. Spunding barrel's quite simple. It's just a screw her in. This is doing what I bought these spunding barrels before, and I don't know. I think if you put them on a metal one, they might be different, but they point upwards a little bit. So what I done before, I got some. I don't use the plumber's tape. What I done before, I got it to where I wanted, and I actually used the plumber's fluid, and I let it set. And so I had it there. So of course this one has the notch in it. Just put her on there, and we'll just have it pointing to the sky for the time being anyway. There we go. So, and now the measurement of the silicone hose is a bit funny. I got a little bit of a trick. You do need to cut it, and I probably, I've got me nice bit. What I do, and what I've done with the others, I've got some stainless steel rings, and I actually add a ring to it. I really, you really need a bit of fluid for this. I was telling you a story, wasn't I? I've got another key ring. No, I've got another key ring, and I add the key ring to it so that when I do the measurement, you can see, like I'm going to have yeast, pretty much yeast up to the bottom of this anyway. By the time like I do a double batch, so by the time I get a 42, 44 litres, I'm going to build up quite a bit of thing. What you do, you get it on your fluid. Make sure you get the liquid line, and you measure it down. So see how it's a bit longer than what you require. So you cut it off. So what I do, I actually add a ring to that so that it'll actually come down a little bit further, and you might get another ½ inch of beer out of it or whatever, depending on the level of your yeast bed. So that's about it, fellas. It's a good looking unit, and quite looking forward to being able to. We'll probably put one in it on Monday. I might even show you the brew. Don't know what we'll brew up. What we'll brew up on Monday. We might brew something. Probably just do an IPA or something. And chuck her in there and put it in my fridge and see how it goes. I've got some new grains there. I'm going to try a bit of Golden Promise on my next brew, so we might put that in it and see how it goes with a few hops. Thanks for watching. Neil from Magpie Brewing, signing off.